or myopia. And I am telling you, 2 marks question is definite from these defects. Few defects are there, 2 marks definitely you will get. So myopia is a condition in which the near objects can be seen clearly while the distant objects appear blurred. So if a person is suffering from short-sightedness, he can see near objects clearly but can't see distant objects, and in it the images of the distant objects are formed in front of the retina. They are not formed on the retina, because if image is formed on the retina, on the yellow spot, you get a clear image. Here the image is formed in front of the retina. And what are the reasons for myopia, or causes also you can say, you can be asked, give the causes for myopia. The eyeball is lengthened from front to back. The eyeball lengthens from front to back. See, if you just write the eyeball lengthens, you won't get marks. It can lengthen this way also, that means, but the eyeball lengthens from front to back. This has to be written. And the lens is too curved. The lens becomes too curved. So these are the 2 causes for the myopia. And how myopia can be corrected. This defect can be corrected by suitable concave lens, which causes the light rays to diverge before they strike the lens of the eye. So this defect of course can be corrected by using the concave lens or the diverging lenses. That helps in diverging the rays, and then the image is formed on the retina. And most of you children who are having spectacles, you are suffering from myopia. You have a difficulty in looking at or seeing things on the blackboard. You can read things which are in front of you or close to you. So mostly young children, they suffer from myopia, and the power of the glasses used is mentioned in minus. We mention the power of the lens in minus in case of myopia. So this is one defect. Another one is far or long sightedness or hyperopia, and it is an old term, and hypermetropia is also used for long sightedness. Is a condition in which there is a difficulty in seeing near objects. In my case, I have difficulty in seeing near objects. I can see far objects better. So that is the hypermetropia. And he says in this case the image of the object is formed behind the retina. Both the diagrams are given. If you see in first case, the image was formed in front of the retina, then they had put the concave lens in front and the image is formed on the retina. Then in case of hypermetropia, the image is formed behind the retina, and when we use convex lens for this, for correction we are using convex lens, and then image is formed on the retina. And what are the causes of the hypermetropia? It results in the shortening of the eyeball. There, lengthening of the eyeball from front to back. And here, shortening of the eyeball occurs from front to back, and the lens is too flat. Lens becomes too flat. So these are the causes, and it is corrected by the convex lens, and the power of the glasses is mentioned in plus. So if you are asked differences also, they can ask you between these two. In bracket they will mention causes, correction, anything, or they can give you these diagrams Any one of the diagram they can give you diagram related to myopia, and they will ask you to identify the defect, what are the causes of it, how it can be corrected. So in this way questions are asked related to these topics. Okay? And those who have tenure, you can pick up tenure, you will find always there is a question, some way or the other, in differences related to diagram anyway. Then the third one is Estimatism, and it is a defect in which some parts of the object are seen in focus. You can see certain objects in focus while the others are blurred. And it arises due to the uneven curvature of cornea. When the cornea becomes uneven, then it results in astigmatism, and it can be corrected by cylindrical lenses. You all must have seen some of them, they have very thick lenses. Those are actually cylindrical lenses. So this is the third defect. Then presbyopia. It is a condition affecting older people who cannot see near objects clearly, and their lenses, they lose flexibility, resulting in a kind of farsightedness. Due to age, the lens loses flexibility, and then people, they can't see the near objects clearly. And this can be corrected by convex lens. Another defect is cataract. It is a condition in which the lens turns opaque. Lens becomes opaque. Those who are suffering from diabetes, mostly those people, they after some time suffer from cataract. That is, their lens becomes opaque and the vision is cut down, even to total blindness. Sometimes the defect is so much prominent in them that they can't see at all. And it can be corrected by surgically removing the lens and by using spectacles with highly convex lenses, compensating for the missing lens, or in a newer technique, a small plastic lens is implanted behind or in front of the iris. And of course, this cataract can be corrected by surgery, and it is a minor operation. What they do, they remove the opaque lens and fit another lens in place of that. So this is about cataract. Next is night blindness. And in night blindness, the person feels difficulty in seeing in dim light or during the night. At night or in dim light, some people are not able to see properly. That is night blindness. And this is due to the non-formation of the pigment visual purple, because the visual purple is the one which helps you to see in dim light. So the visual purple is not formed, and that is why people can't see in dim light. And only rods function in dim light, and in the absence of the pigment they cannot function, and this is usually due to the deficiency of vitamin A. When a person is suffering from the deficiency of vitamin A, then he gets this defect of night blindness. And of course, vitamin A is responsible for the synthesis of the visual purple. So this is about night blindness. Next we come over to color blindness. And mostly males suffer from color blindness. And he says color blindness is a condition in which some people by birth cannot discriminate between certain colors such as red and green. They can't make out different colors, and this is due to genetic defect. If you all remember when we did genetics, at that time we had referred to color blindness. And mostly males suffer from this defect, whereas it rarely occurs in female. Very few or rarely the females suffer from this defect. Good morning. So this is about the color blindness. Then the corneal opacities. The cornea of some patients, they turn opaque and non-functional, and such defects can cause anything from minor irritation to vision problems and even blindness. And in such cases, the defective cornea can be replaced by healthy cornea from a donated eye. So here, because the cornea becomes opaque, so the cornea can be replaced by another one donated by some person. Squint is the last one. In this defect, the two eyes somewhat converge. They are converging. They are looking in the center, both the eyes. And such eyes are called cross eyes. And opposite condition appears when the eyes diverge. It seems that the person is looking on the sides. And both conditions may cause double vision. They see two images, or diplopia it is called, and surgery and suitable exercise can correct these defects. So surgery and exercise can correct this defect. You all must have seen certain children, they are born with this defect. So these are all the defects, and I have told you, very important. Then is the binocular vision. All monkeys, apes, and particularly humans can perceive depth or the relative distance of the object. We can even perceive the depth of the object, or you can say we get the three-dimensional effect of the object. Our eyes can perceive that, and such type of effect is known as the binocular vision. And this happens because the images formed by the two eyes overlap each other. And this overlapping gives three-dimensional effect of the object. So this is about the binocular vision. Next we come over to after images, the basis of motion pictures. Why when you go watch a serial, it seems it is lifelike, though the scenes are taken at different places or at different times. This is because when we had done a light adaptation, the effect of that light remains on our eye for some time, and we are watching a brightly lit image. The effect of it remains there on our eye for 1/10 of a second, and quickly another image comes in front, and the effect of first one is still there for 1/10 of a second, second one comes, third comes, and it appears it is lifelike, going on in a sequence. This is called the after image effect. So he says, if you look at a bright object for a moment and then close the eyes, the sensation of light persists for a short period. And in the same way, if one looks at a brightly colored object and then looks at a dark surface, an image of the object in the same color will persist. Of course, why at night mostly the mobile's light we make dim, so that at night if we just see the time, if it is brightly lit, of course, then sometimes we are unable to sleep. That effect remains there. So the effect of that brightly lit image is there for some time, and this is known as persistence image or after image. And it lasts for about 1/10 of a second. So that effect remains till 1/10 of a second, and this is the principle on which the technique of motion picture is based. In a movie, Pictures are projected on a screen at a rate of about 24 pictures per second. So 24 pictures are in front of your eyes within 1 second. But we cannot see the individual frames. So you can't make out the frames of each picture, because they are quickly passed in front of your eye, about say 24 of them in 1 second. So you can't make out the individual frames, and this is because of the after image effect in our eye. And the lifelike continuous movement on the screen is an illusion. This is called illusion. And television too is similar, where the scanning beam of the picture frame of the TV camera moves so rapidly on the viewing screen of the TV set that our eyes cannot keep pace with it. And out of the numerous other optical illusions, 2 have been shown here in this lesson at the end that you can see afterwards. We are not going to waste time on that. But now I would like to ask you, have you understood everything regarding eye? And if you have any question, you can ask. Any doubt? And I have made it clear that you should, when you are doing the structure of the eye, you should know the location of each and every part, its function. It should be clear to you. And you have ample time now. You go home, you read the lesson, and you mark the location also and function also, so that in exam very quickly you can find out where they are and you can easily learn them. Then defects also, I've told you, difference between the defects can be asked, causes can be asked. They can give you a diagram regarding myopia and all, and will ask you to identify it, give cause, and how it can be corrected. Even 5 marks question in section B can be asked related to it. Then they can even give you a diagram of eye. As I told you that day, wrongly drawn or properly drawn, they will ask you to label the parts, give their functions, and like difference between yellow spot and blind spot, such differences can be asked. Okay? So do it thoroughly. I am telling you, a nervous system and sense organs, you do get a question. And in excretory system also, when you get a question, the questions are little bit crooked. You can't understand and you give wrong answers. The language is such. So please prepare these topics nicely. So next we come over to the ear, the organ for hearing and balance. So ear helps us in hearing and even helps us in balancing our body. And there are 3 main parts of the ear: the outer ear, middle ear, and the inner ear. And this you had done even in your 8th, the diagram of ear. And again we do it, that this ear pinna. Outer ear comprises of pinna, and the pinna, and then the passage, the auditory canal, leading to the eardrum. So pinna is there, this is the auditory canal and leading to the eardrum. At the end of it is the eardrum. This is external ear. Eardrum is even called tympanum. Okay? Next, he says, the middle ear, it consists of 3 tiny bones, malleus, incus and stapes. And we even call them the hammer, anvil and stirrup in popular terms. And a eustachian tube which connects the cavity of the middle ear to the throat. So, who's talking? So this is the diagram of ear, and he says that this middle ear, this is the middle ear, this up till eardrum was external ear, then middle ear. Middle ear has 3 small bones, the hammer, anvil and stirrup, and these together are known as Aerosicles also. And sometimes you can be asked in one word, name the smallest bone present in our body, Aerosicles. Okay, and these the stirrup is joined to this oval structure. This is called oval window, and this is the eustachian tube. This is the one which connects the ear to the throat, and it equalizes air pressure in the middle ear. On the eardrum, it equalizes air pressure. Someone just comes and screams into your ear. Your eardrum can get damaged, but it is this eustachian tube which equalizes pressure on the eardrum, and it is safe. And there is even a round window here. It is also a membranous structure. So this is the middle ear. Then comes the inner ear. And inner ear comprises of cochlea and the semicircular canals. And this cochlea is shell-like, having 2.5 spirals. And the semicircular canals, they are 3 in number and arranged at right angles to each other. We can't draw a 3-dimensional diagram, so they are drawn like this, otherwise they are lying in different planes, arranged to each other at right angles. And there is a swelling here in each of the semicircular canals, and it is called the ampulla. And this ampulla is the place where the sensory cells are present. Okay, and this cochlea also, when you are going to cut a cross section of cochlea, you will see 3 cavities. We'll study. 3 cavities are there and they are filled with the fluid, and sensory cells are there. Those sensory cells are the ones which perceive the sound and we are able to hear. Okay? So this is the diagram. Roughly I have told you the structure. Now we come over to our book. He says that the 3 bones are collectively called Aerosicles. The handle of the hammer bone is attached to the inner surface of the eardrum, and its opposite end is connected to the anvil, which in turn is joined to the stirrup. And the flat part of the stirrup fits on the so-called oval window, a membrane-covered opening leading to the inner ear. So oval window is the one which is membranous and it leads to the inner ear. And a second opening, the round window, also covered by a thin membrane, connects the middle and the inner ear. So the oval window connects the middle ear to the inner ear, even the round window. And the inner ear, or the membranous labyrinthine is also it is called, and it has 3 parts: the cochlea, semicircular canal, and the vestibule. The cochlea is spiral shaped and looks like a snail shell. It has 2.5 turns. So 2.5 turns are there. And its inner winding cavity is divided into 3 parallel canals. And if you were to cut a cross section of cochlea and see, its inner cavity is divided into 3 parts. And here are present the sensory cells in the middle cavity. Cells are present. And their fibers, they are the ones which form the auditory auditory nerve. And all these cavities are filled with fluid. So when vibrations reach this part of the ear, the fluid vibrates. That sensation is picked up by the sensory cells and we are able to hear with the help of the auditory nerve which carries the impulse to the brain. And he says the median canal, the middle canal, it is called median canal, is filled with a fluid called endolymph. And the other 2 are filled with perilymph. So 3 canals are there. The median one is filled with endolymph, and the outer 2 perilymph. Okay? And the middle canal contains areas possessing sensory cells or the spiral organ called the organ of Corti for hearing. See, if you are asked which part of the ear is responsible for hearing, it is the organ of Corti. Don't say cochlea. Organ of Corti is the one which perceives the sense of hearing, and the nerve fibers arising from these cells join the auditory nerve, and the sensory cells lie in the basilar membrane. So, there are sensory cells present in the median canal of the cochlea, which are called the organ of Corti, which perceive the sensation of sound, and we are able to hear. Then the other part of the inner ear is a set of 3 semicircular canals, which are arranged at right angles to each other in 3 different planes, so that the end of each canal is, so that one is horizontal and the other 2 are vertical, and one end of the canal is widened to form ampulla, which contains sensory cells for dynamic balance. So, the semicircular canals, they contain ampulla, and ampulla contains sensory cells which help in maintaining dynamic balance. What is dynamic balance? When your body is in motion, at that time the balance is maintained by the semicircular canals or the ampulla of the semicircular canals. And of course, from here also, from these ampulla also, the sensory cells arise and carry the impulse to the brain, and the balance is maintained. Then the short stem. If you see this short stem, which is joining the semicircular canals with the cochlea, this stem has 2 patches of sensory cells, and he says that 2 parts are there, that is utriculus and sacculus, collectively termed as vestibule, and these parts also contain sensory cells. So these sacculus and utriculus. So upper one is utriculus, this one is sacculus. These 2 also have sensory cells, and these sensory cells are responsible for static balance of your body. When you are in a state of rest, at that time the balance is maintained by the utriculus and sacculus. Okay? So this is about the structure of ear. Any question to ask regarding the structure? You followed the parts of external ear, that is tympanum, auditory canal, then eardrum, middle ear, 3 small bones are there, hammer, anvil, stirrup, joined to the oval window, which connects the middle ear to the inner ear, and there is a eustachian tube in the middle ear which connects the middle ear to the throat. Then we have inner ear, which is made up of cochlea, which has patch of sensory cells in the median canal called organ of Corti, which are responsible for hearing, and the fluids names also you will remember. Then semicircular canals, which help in maintaining the dynamic balance, and sacculus and utriculus sensory patches in that stem which is joining the cochlea and the semicircular canals, that helps in maintaining the static balance. Now, how does this ear function and how it helps us in hearing? Pinna is the one which collects the sound waves and conducts them through the external auditory canal, and they finally strike on the eardrum, which is set into vibration. So, pinna collects the sound waves, directs them into the auditory canal, and makes the eardrum vibrate. And the eardrum vibrates freely, and the vibrating eardrum also sets the 3 ossicles in vibration. The 3 ossicles are set into vibration, and there is a lever arrangement in these ossicles which magnify the vibration. So the vibration of the last ossicle is amplified due to the lever-like action of the first 2 ossicles. And the vibrating stirrup transmits the vibration to the membrane of the oval window, which in turn sets the fluid contained in the cochlear canal into vibration. And the vibrating movement of the fluid stimulates the hair-like processes of the sensory cells of the cochlea, that is in the spiral organ, that is the organ of Corti, and the impulse are transmitted to the brain via the auditory nerve. And the different areas of the cochlear canal are suited to the sounds of different pitches. Most of the sounds we hear are combination of vibrations at many different rates of speed, that is, of different pitches. And we cannot pick up vibrations of all frequencies. Our sensory endings can receive only those from 20 to 20,000 hertz, but the most keenly heard sounds are those at a frequency of about 1,000 to 4,000 hertz. And the dogs can perceive sounds of even higher frequencies. That is why they can make out easily if some change in the environment is there. So this is how we hear. Then balance of the body, how balancing is done. As the head turns in different direction, when we move our head in different direction, of course the fluid which is present in the semicircular canals is also shaken. And the moving fluid in the canals pushes against the sensory hair cells, sending the nerve impulse through the nerve fibers attached to them to the brain via the auditory nerve. And the sensory cells in the semicircular canals are concerned with dynamic balance or dynamic equilibrium while the body is in motion, and similarly sensory patches are located in the utriculus and sacculus, which help in maintaining the static balance. So in this way the balance of the body is maintained. You all must have experienced that when you go in a merry-go-round or some swing, then when you come down, what happens? Can you stand stable for some time? Means it seems things are moving. Why? Because when you were there going round, or means the fluid was in motion and it was in fast motion. And when you come down and you stand, that it takes time for that fluid to be stable. It is still in motion though you are standing. And that is why that balance is not maintained. So he says, if you spin round and round, the fluid in the semicircular canals continue to spin for short time even after you stop and you feel dizzy. And at the same time your eyes perform to and fro movements caused due to stimulation of the semicircular canals. And seasickness, air sickness and car sickness are often due to these unusual sensations of equilibrium. Some of us, we get sick when we travel. It is because of this reason only. And with this, the year is also over and the lesson is over. So nervous system and sense organs we have done. Any question you want to ask, I give you some time.